Sometimes you are standing in front of the oven, checking the cake every 2 minutes, wondering why it's not ready. But it ain't supposed to be ready yet. It needs time. And if you open the oven too early, you ruin it. That's how life works when you are trying to rush God. You are peaking every second, panicking, but he's saying, sit down. I'm not done yet. You keep trying to speed up a process that's already perfectly timed. You are stressing out because you are early, not because God is late. He's not on your clock. He operates in his rhythm and it's flawless. You being early just means you are seeing the setup in progress, not the finale. You feel like everyone else is getting theirs and you are stuck on pause. But what you don't see is that God is building something that's not like everyone else's. Yours takes longer because it's custom. You don't microwave a masterpiece. You slow cook it. You are sitting there trying to compare your season to somebody else's highlight reel. But that's not how it works. What God is doing in your life ain't supposed to look like theirs. You need to stop assuming he's forgotten you just because he's not rushing like you want him to. You don't want it early because early blessings come with immature hands, and immature hands drop big blessings. God is not going to give you something that's going to break you because you weren't ready to hold it. You might be ready in your head, but are you ready in your spirit? You have got to learn how to live in the in-between. That space between what you prayed for and when it arrives. That's where your character is tested. That's where your growth gets real. That's where God watches how much you trust him when nothing makes sense. You want the reward, but God wants to know if you are loyal without it. You want the victory, but he wants to know if you will still show up while the scoreboard says 0. You think you are waiting for the blessing, but the truth is the blessing is waiting for you to mature. You are sitting there thinking because it hasn't happened yet, it's never going to happen. But you have got the wrong perspective. A delay ain't a death sentence. God's not denying you. He's developing you. There's a difference between not now and never. Every delay you face is a divine pause. Sometimes God has to pause what you want so he can work on what you need. You might be praying for a spouse, but God's trying to fix your heart. You might be praying for a business, but he's working on your patience. When it doesn't come when you want it, don't let doubt creep in and start lying to you. That voice in your head saying, maybe it's not meant for me, is not from God. That's fear talking. That's discouragement trying to distract you. But your delay has a purpose. If God gave you what you wanted when you wanted it, you wouldn't appreciate it. You wouldn't protect it. You'd treat it like a temporary thrill instead of a sacred responsibility. That's why the delay exists. To humble you, prepare you, and teach you how to steward what's coming. You have got to shift your mindset from victim to student. Stop saying, why me? And start asking, what is God teaching me here? Because there's always something in the waiting room. You are not being ignored. You are being educated. The delay is classroom time. Don't waste your time complaining. Use it to get stronger, wiser, and more spiritually rooted. Because when God finally says go, you are going to need that strength. You are going to need that wisdom. You are going to need that grounding to handle what's coming with maturity. Stop calling it a curse when it's a blessing in disguise. If the delay is keeping you from disaster, thank God. If the delay is pushing you into development, embrace it. Because when the promise finally arrives, you will be glad God made you wait a little longer. It's easy to shout and clap in church when the music's right, the message hits, and your bills are paid. But what about when Monday hits, when the job didn't call back, when your body still aches, when that depression creeps back in? That's when real faith kicks in. Not performance faith, but persistent faith. Faith isn't just what you say. It's what you live. It's how you walk when your legs are tired. It's how you pray when you are disappointed. It's how you get up when you have been knocked down 10 times. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. If your faith only shows up when life is easy, you are not walking in trust. You are walking in comfort. And comfort doesn't produce growth. God allows discomfort because it exposes your real level of belief. Not what you post about, but what you truly depend on. You say you trust God, but are you willing to wait in the dark? Can you praise him with tears in your eyes? Can you keep walking when you don't see the road ahead? Faith is believing without evidence. It's trusting when there's no sign. It's holding on when your flesh wants to give up. You have to build a faith that can survive the silence. God doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes he whispers. Sometimes he says nothing. And in those moments, you don't need a sign. You need stamina. You need spiritual stamina to keep Walder's king when everything says stop. Your faith needs to be like roots, deep, anchored, unseen. Nobody claps for roots, but they are what hold the tree up in the storm. That's the kind of faith you need. Not flashy, but unshakable. Not loud, but lasting. Not emotional, but enduring. When you live like that, you stop chasing signs and start living with confidence. You stop needing constant reassurance and start walking in authority, because faith isn't just for Sundays. It's for the silence, the struggle, and the storms that come every other day. You are trying to force things to happen, stressing yourself out like you have more knowledge than the one who made you. Every day you wake up chasing time, worrying about when, worrying about how, and completely forgetting who's in control. You are rushing around like life's going to collapse if it doesn't go your way today. But God's not moved by panic. He's moved by purpose. You don't have the full picture. He does. You only see what's in front of you, but God sees the whole path. You see your plan. He sees the potholes, the turns, the traffic ahead. You are rushing forward, trying to make things happen on your timeline, and He's trying to protect you from something you don't even know is coming. That delay you hate, that silence you are frustrated with, that might be the thing keeping you safe from destruction you can't see yet. You are praying and then trying to answer your prayer with shortcuts. You are asking God for something, and when it doesn't show up in 2 weeks, you start moving without Him. That's how you end up with consequences instead of blessings. You wanted a shortcut, but what you got was a setback. Because rushing ahead of God never works. It always costs more later. Sometimes God slows you down so you don't crash. You think He's being unfair. You think He's forgotten you. But the truth is, He sees something up the road that you are not prepared for. You are asking Him to hurry, and He's saying, not yet, not there, not them. That not yet is not rejection, it's redirection. And if you ignore it, you pay for it in regret. You can't rush someone who exists outside of time. You live minute by minute, but God holds eternity. He's not worried about your deadline. He's not stressed about your schedule. He knows exactly when to open the door and when to keep it shut. You keep asking for instant, and He's offering eternal. You are looking for fast, but He's planning lasting, and lasting takes time. You want it now because you think you are ready, but God knows the weight of what you are asking for. You are asking for a platform, but haven't built the character to stand on it. You are asking for love, but haven't healed from your past. You are asking for more, but haven't mastered what you have. He's not withholding. He's waiting for your foundation to catch up with your vision. The problem is we live in a world that celebrates speed and forgets the value of timing. Everybody wants to be seen, be rich, be known right now. But God's blessings don't follow the world's formula. He's not in a rush to make you popular. He's in the process of making you whole. And if you skip that process, what you think is a blessing will become a burden too heavy to carry. You keep waking up thinking life is punishing you, like somehow you did something wrong to deserve all this silence, all this waiting, all this struggle. But that's not what's happening. God isn't punishing you. He's positioning you. And there's a difference. Punishment comes from mistakes, but positioning comes from preparation. You didn't do something wrong. You are being placed exactly where you need to be for what's next. It feels lonely because He's separating you. It feels quiet because He's trying to get your attention. You keep trying to go back to where you used to be, but it doesn't feel right anymore. That's not punishment. That's God moving the furniture in your life. He's making room for what's coming. He's shifting the environment around you, even if you don't understand why certain people left or why certain doors shut. Sometimes the most uncomfortable season of your life is when God is doing the deepest work. You think He's ignoring you, but He's molding you. You think He's distant, but He's closer than ever. See, we associate activity with progress, but God does some of His best work in silence. He'll strip away distractions, close off opportunities, and shut down comfort zones, not to break you, but to build you. You keep asking, why am I stuck? But you are not stuck. You are planted. And there's a big difference. Being stuck is stagnant, but being planted is purposeful. When a seed is planted, it's buried, it's covered, it's in the dark, but it's exactly where it needs to be to grow. God has planted you, not punished you. He's letting your roots grow deep before your breakthrough rises. When God is positioning you, it often looks like isolation. He'll remove people who can't handle where you are going. He'll pull you out of situations that used to feel comfortable, and it hurts, it confuses you, it makes you doubt yourself. But that's because he's moving you to a higher place. And not everybody can go with you. Some positions require solitude before exposure. You want to be elevated, but you don't want to be hidden. You want to be seen, but you don't want to be stretched. And God says, I can't position you for greater if you keep clinging to lesser. So he lets certain things fall apart. He lets you feel the ache of transition because he knows you won't move until the pain gets real enough to push you forward. What feels like punishment is purpose on the move. When you realize he's positioning you, you stop complaining about the season. You stop begging for things that were never meant to stay. You stop thinking you are behind and start seeing that you are being aligned. He's not trying to break you down. He's building you into someone who can handle what you have been asking for all this time. You keep asking God for a purpose like it's just going to drop into your lap one morning with no struggle, no confusion, no work. But purpose doesn't come prepackaged. It comes through process. And the process is not pretty. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. It's full of trials that stretch you, break you, and rebuild you from the inside out. You don't stumble into purpose. You are shaped into it, molded by fire. We want the purpose without the pressure. We want the reward without the responsibility. But that's not how this works. You don't get to skip the hard stuff. You don't get to fast forward through the nights when you question everything, the days when it feels like nobody sees you, and the moments when you wonder if you missed your chance. All of that is part of the process that purifies your purpose. There's something powerful about struggle. It exposes your weaknesses. It reveals your real priorities. It separates what you thought you wanted from what you need. And God uses all of that, the tears, the rejections, the setbacks, to strip away everything fake so you can step into your calling with nothing but truth. And strength. You are not being delayed. You are being developed. Everybody wants purpose, but not everybody is willing to be pruned. And purpose always comes with pruning. That means letting go of what doesn't serve the vision. That means saying no to distractions, shutting down excuses, and walking away from the easy route. Because the process demands sacrifice. And what you sacrifice proves how serious you are about what God's calling you to. You are not going to walk into a purpose full of pride, full of fear, full of ego. That's why the process takes time. It humbles you. It softens your heart. It sharpens your focus. It teaches you discipline. You don't just wake up ready. You go through seasons that make you ready. And if you try to skip those seasons, you will show up unprepared for the weight of what you asked for. The process is where your identity is refined. It's where you stop defining yourself by your past and start seeing yourself through God's eyes. That's why it takes time. Not because he's slow, but because he's thorough. He's not trying to give you a little purpose. He's building something with longevity, something that'll outlive you, something that impacts generations. You keep thinking God's ignoring you, but he's been working this whole time. While you are waiting, he's weaving the pieces together. While you are struggling, he's strengthening your spirit. While you are doubting, he's drawing you deeper. Purpose is never instant. It's revealed through the grind, through the growth, and through the grit that only comes from enduring the process. You have been showing up every day, doing what you can, praying with faith, fighting through doubt, and still wondering if God even sees you. You feel like you have been skipped, overlooked, passed by while everybody else is out here getting what they have been praying for. But let me tell you something. Real. God ain't forgot about you. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean you are invisible. Silence is not absence. You keep looking for a sign, something to let you know you are still on the path in his plans, part of the story. And the enemy uses that silence to whisper lies. You are not chosen. You are not good enough. You must have messed up. But none of that is true. God hasn't forgotten. He's just working in a way you can't see. He's moving in the background, beyond your view, beyond your understanding. Sometimes the hardest place to be is in the middle. You are not where you used to be, but you are not where you want to be either. And in that middle ground, the enemy turns up the volume on doubt and your faith starts shaking. But even in that place, God is present. He sees your sacrifice. He hears your cry. He counts every tear, and not one of them is wasted. There's a reason you are still standing after everything you have been through. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a coincidence. That was God carrying you, even when you didn't feel it. You didn't survive that heartbreak, that loss, that betrayal by your strength. He was there. He didn't forget about you then, and he hasn't forgotten about you now. His silence is not neglect. It's preparation. You got to stop judging God's love based on how loud the blessings are. Just because he ain't shouting in your life right now doesn't mean he's not loving you, guiding you, protecting you in ways you will only understand later. What looks like nothing happening is the groundwork for everything you prayed for. And sometimes God will withhold the spotlight just to see if you will stay faithful in the shadows. It's in the hidden seasons that your faith grows deep. It's when no one is clapping, when no doors are opening, when no one is texting, "I'm proud of you." That's when your roots are growing. That's when your character is being built. You may not feel seen by people, but you are fully known by God. You don't need the world's confirmation when you have already been chosen by the Creator. You are still in the plan. You are still in the picture. God didn't forget your name when he started blessing other people. What's for you is still reserved for you. Just because it hasn't arrived doesn't mean it's been canceled. He's not holding out on you. He's holding it until the right moment. And when that moment comes, you will realize he remembered every prayer, every tear, every quiet night you chose to trust him anyway. You have got your plans lined up, your goals written out, and your calendar marked with deadlines, but you still feel overwhelmed. That's because timing without trust is just anxiety in disguise. You are trying to schedule your breakthrough like it's a delivery order, expecting God to show up according to your timeline. And when he doesn't, you spiral into worry, questioning everything you once believed he promised. You keep checking the time, checking your age, checking the calendar, like blessings are controlled by clocks. But time is not the problem. It's your lack of trust in the one who controls it. You think if you can just map it out, control it, and organize it, then everything will finally feel okay. But control is not the cure for anxiety. Trust is. And until you learn to trust his hand, even when you can't trace it, you will always feel anxious. You can have the most detailed plan in the world, but if your heart's not anchored in trust, that plan becomes a source of torment instead of peace. That's why some of you can't sleep at night. Not because God ain't working, but because you are trying to do his job. You are trying to carry a burden that was never yours to carry. Timing is his responsibility. Obedience is yours. Anxiety grows in the gap between expectation and surrender. You expected something to happen by now, and since it didn't, your faith started shaking. But that's the very moment where trust is supposed to rise. That's the space where you let go and say, "God, I don't know when, but I still know you." You can't fully rest in his promises if you are still panicking every time the clock ticks. You can't keep letting time pressure your peace. You see people getting married, getting promoted, buying homes, and suddenly you feel behind, but you are not behind. You're just on a different schedule. And God's timing isn't late. It's tailor-made. What he's building in you is too unique to be rushed. You have to let go of your obsession with deadlines and step into divine order. Real trust says, even if it takes longer, I still believe it's better. Real trust lets go of the need to know all the details. Real trust says, God, you lead, I'll follow. It doesn't mean you stop working or planning, but it means you stop panicking. You stop letting time bully your spirit. You stop measuring your worth by how fast things are happening. You were never meant to live stressed out by what's not here yet. You were meant to walk with confidence, even in uncertainty, because trust isn't just about believing God will do it. It's about believing he knows when to do it. And once you understand that, you stop watching the clock and start watching him. You have been walking around with pressure on your shoulders because of a date you circled on your calendar. You told yourself, by this age, I should have been there. By this year, I should have made it. But those deadlines were made by you, not God. And now you are carrying disappointment over something he never even promised to deliver on your timeline. You are mad at him over a deadline he never gave you. You set goals, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start worshiping your timeline more than trusting his plan, that's when your peace starts breaking. You start seeing your life as behind when really it's just different. You start measuring progress by the world's pace instead of heaven's purpose. And that's why so many people stay stuck, not because God isn't moving, but because they are trapped by artificial deadlines. Some of the greatest moves of God happened past the point where you thought it was too late. You think you missed your chance, but God is just getting started. You think your expiration date has come, but he doesn't operate on age or calendar. He operates on readiness. And just because it hasn't happened by your date doesn't mean it won't happen at all. He didn't bring you this far to leave you empty-handed. You are trying to make eternal plans fit into a temporary timeline. And that's why you feel anxious. That's why you feel like you are behind, because you are squeezing God's calling into your countdown. But God's purpose doesn't work like a countdown. It unfolds like a masterpiece. And a masterpiece takes time. It takes layers. It takes correction. It takes waiting. And if you rush it, you will ruin it. He's not trying to meet your deadline. He's trying to prepare you for destiny, because what you are asking for might be good, but what he's planning is great. What you have in mind is limited by your experience. But God's plan takes everything into account: the detours, the heartbreaks, the hidden talents you didn't know you had. His plan sees what's coming long before you even know what to ask for. You keep thinking that if it doesn't happen by a certain time, then it's not meant to be. But sometimes the best things in life come after the delay, after the disappointment, after the detour. What feels like being off schedule is often God getting you off the wrong piazza. You are focused on when he's focused on who you are becoming in the process. He's developing character while you are counting days. Stop trying to rush God to meet your deadline when he's trying to bless you beyond your expectations. Your deadline was small compared to what he's preparing. You wanted it fast. He's making it last. You wanted it now. He's preparing it right. And when it finally comes, you won't be thinking about how long it took. You will be too busy realizing it was worth every second of the wait. You keep asking God to elevate you, to bless you, to open doors. But the moment he places you in the waiting room, you start panicking. You think waiting is punishment, like you have been benched or forgotten. But that waiting room isn't a setback. It's a training ground. That's where God builds warriors, not weaklings. That's where he takes your surface level faith and turns it into something unshakable. Nobody likes the waiting season because it feels like nothing is happening. But behind that silence, God is doing serious construction. He's not just preparing the blessing. He's preparing you to carry it. And warriors don't get built on mountaintops. They are built in valleys, in the quiet, in the struggle, in the places where you learn to trust when nothing's moving but your heartbeat and your prayers. You have been seeing waiting as wasted time, but that's where you have grown the most. Think about it. The lessons, the wisdom, the strength, the humility that didn't come when life was smooth. It came when you were waiting for answers, waiting for healing, waiting for peace. You got stronger because you had to. That's how warriors are made, not by comfort, but by endurance. God puts you in the waiting room to teach you how to fight without sight, how to stand when your legs are shaking, how to pray when your voice is cracking. That waiting room teaches you discipline. It teaches you to stop relying on emotions and start moving with conviction. You stop serving based on how you feel and start serving based on who you are. Most people want the victory, but they don't want the preparation. You can't be a warrior if you crumble every time things don't go your way. The waiting room teaches you how to take hits and keep moving. It teaches you how to survive disappointment without losing your identity. You start realizing that your power isn't in the outcome. It's in your obedience during the in-between. You start to develop weapons that don't come from winning. They come from waiting. Patience becomes your shield. Prayer becomes your sword. Silence becomes your strategy. You learn how to hear God's voice without distractions. You learn how to operate when applause is absent and recognition is nowhere in sight. Because a warrior fights even when nobody's watching. So while you are in the waiting room, stop asking, when is it my turn? And start asking, what am I supposed to learn? Because once you leave that room, you will realize you weren't just waiting for the door to open. You were being trained for the battle on the other side of it. You keep chasing after things, people, and opportunities as if you don't grab them right now, they'll slip through your fingers forever. But the truth is, what's meant for you won't miss you. It doesn't matter how many times you get passed over, how many doors slam in your face, or how many no's you hear. What's for you has your name written all over it, and it's going to find you. You don't have to chase God's blessings like you are running out of time. You don't have to beg for opportunities that aren't ready for you. What belongs to you is already marked, already reserved, already set aside. And no matter how many detours, delays, or distractions come your way, it's going to catch up with you. You just need to stop wasting energy on things that weren't meant to be. Sometimes you get discouraged because you think you missed the boat, but really you just missed the wrong boat. God's plan isn't about catching the first opportunity that comes your way. It's about waiting for the right opportunity that fits you perfectly. The wrong one would have slowed you down, distracted you, or taken you off course. What's for you will come, and it will come at the right time. You have to believe that God's timing is perfect and that he's not holding back blessings from you out of spite. He's holding them back because he's protecting you from what you are not ready for yet. What's meant for you will not pass you by. It might delay, but it won't disappear. Your job is to stay ready, stay faithful, and stay patient. When you learn this truth, you stop stressing over what's lost. You stop obsessing over missed chances. You stop begging people to see your worth because you know the right things will come. You know the right people will show up. You know the right doors will open. It's only a matter of time before what's for you arrives. You don't have to settle for less just because you are tired of waiting. You don't have to accept anything less than what God has planned for you. What's yours won't slip away because God's not careless. He's intentional, precise, and faithful. So keep your hands open, your heart ready, and your eyes on him, because what's for you is on its way. Stop chasing shadows, stop comparing yourself, and stop trying to force things to fit. What's for you will come in its own time, in its way, and in a way that will blow your mind. You just have to trust enough to wait and believe enough to recognize it when it shows up. You are sitting there impatient, asking God why it's taking so long. But what if the delay is the growth you need? What if God is not late but intentional? Sometimes the waiting isn't a sign of denial. It's a season of preparation. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, messy, and uncomfortable. And God knows you can't handle what's coming until you have grown into it. You want blessings, but are you ready to be blessed? That's the real question. Sometimes God holds back what you want because you haven't developed the strength, wisdom, or patience to handle it. He's not trying to frustrate you. He's trying to protect you from falling flat because you jumped ahead without the foundation. Growth always precedes greatness. No seed becomes a tree without first pushing through dirt, rain, and storms. You can't rush that process. You don't skip seasons and expect to thrive. If God is making you wait, that means he's making you stronger. The pain, the struggle, the lessons, they are not setbacks. They are setups for something bigger. Sometimes the delay comes because you are being taught how to walk in faith, not just hope. You are learning to trust when you can't see the whole picture. You are being shaped into someone who won't crumble under pressure. You are growing into a warrior, a leader, someone who can carry a blessing without breaking under its weight. It's easy to get discouraged when you compare yourself to others who seem to be moving faster, but growth is personal. It's unique. What you are going through might be slower, but it's deeper. It's more thorough. While others are sprinting, God is building your endurance so you don't burn out when the race gets long. You can't let impatience rob you of your progress. Every delay is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, to develop skills you didn't know you needed, and to build character that will sustain you in the future. Don't fight the process. Embrace it. Grow in it. Because when the time comes, you will be ready. Stop thinking the delay is a curse. Start believing it's a blessing disguised as a wait. Because God isn't just delaying your dreams, He's growing the dreamer. And sometimes the best way to reach the destination is to take time to grow on the journey. You keep focusing on the blessing like it's the finish line, but God's focused on the runner, you. He's not just getting the blessing ready, He's getting you ready for the blessing. Because a blessing without preparation is a disaster waiting to happen. You can't carry what you are not ready to handle, and God knows that better than anyone. It's easy to want the prize without doing the work, but God's work is deep. He's shaping your character, your mindset, your faith, and your strength while you wait. He's teaching you how to be patient when the world demands instant results. He's teaching you humility when pride tries to sneak in. He's teaching you perseverance when giving up feels easier. You want that breakthrough, but breakthroughs come to people who are ready to steward them. God's not rushing you because He's protecting you from a blessing that could break you. Sometimes the blessing needs a container, and God is molding that container inside of you. He's creating a heart that can hold more, a mind that can handle more, and a spirit that can endure more. This preparation looks like delays, but it's divine design. Every closed door, every not yet, every season of waiting is a training ground. You might feel stuck, but you are being stretched. You might feel forgotten, but you are being formed. You might feel like giving up, but you are being grounded. God is building something inside you that the blessing alone could never build. You are growing in ways you don't see yet, developing resilience, faith, wisdom, and courage. These are the true blessings that last long after the initial victory fades. When the blessing finally comes, you won't just receive it. You will be ready to walk in it with power and purpose. Because God prepared the blessing and the blessed. You have to realize it's not just about what God gives you. It's about who He makes you become in the process. The blessing is the fruit, but you are the tree. Without the right roots, the fruit can't survive the storms. God is strengthening those roots while you wait, ensuring your foundation is solid. So don't rush the process or despise the delay. God is busy preparing you for what's next. He's not just working on your situation, He's working on your soul. And when you understand that, you will start to see every moment of waiting not as wasted time, but as essential preparation for the incredible blessing coming your way. You keep holding on to your worries like they are a lifeline, but really they are weighing you down. You think worrying somehow gives you control, but all it does is steal your peace. Trust is the opposite of worry. It's letting go of what you can't control and believing that God's got your back even when the path looks uncertain. Worry makes mountains out of molehills. It takes a problem that might be small and blows it up into a crisis in your mind. But trust shrinks those mountains to molehills. When you choose to trust more, you are choosing to see beyond the problem, beyond the delay, and into the purpose that God is working on behind the scenes. It's natural to worry. Your brain is wired to protect you. But when worry becomes your default, it starts to sabotage your faith. You can't worry and trust at the same time. One will take over, and unfortunately, worry usually wins if you let it. That's why you have to decide daily who you are going to listen to, the fear or the faith. Trust doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging your fears, but choosing to believe God's power is bigger than your problems. It means standing firm even when the storm is raging, knowing that God is the anchor holding you steady. Trust is an act of courage, a daily choice to believe in what you cannot see. When you worry less, you free up energy to focus on what you can do. Instead of being paralyzed by what ifs, you move forward with confidence. You start making better decisions, building stronger relationships, and walking in peace that surpasses understanding. Trust is the fuel that powers progress, even in uncertain times. You will never eliminate every worry, but you can learn to lean on trust more. That means spending more time in prayer, more time reading God's promises, and more time reminding yourself of past victories. When you do that, worry loses its grip and faith becomes louder. You create a new habit of looking up instead of looking around. So instead of carrying the heavy load of worry, lighten your heart with trust. Choose to believe God's timing is perfect. His plan is good and His love is unfailing. The more you trust, the less space worry has to live. And that's when peace starts to flood your life, no matter what storms you face around you. You have been holding on tight, trying to keep it all together, but sometimes life pushes you to your limit until you finally break. That breakdown feels like the end, like everything is falling apart and the pieces will never fit back together. But that's not the end. That's the beginning of your breakthrough. It's the moment before the miracle, the deep dark before the dawn. Breakdowns aren't failures. They are resets. They are God's way of clearing out what's no longer working so he can rebuild something stronger. You think you are losing control, but really God is taking control. He's breaking down the old to make way for the new. And that news is better than anything you imagined before the breakdown. When everything inside you feels shattered, that's when God's power shows up the strongest. Because he doesn't just fix broken things, he transforms them. He takes your pain, your hurt, your failures, and turns them into fuel for your comeback. The breakdown is the preparation ground for the breakthrough, and God is the master builder. You might feel weak, discouraged, and defeated during the breakdown, but don't mistake that for the final chapter. That's just a plot twist. The breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your faith. Faith that refuses to quit even when the world says you should. It's faith that pushes through tears, doubts, and fears, knowing something greater is coming. Sometimes you have to lose your way to find your purpose. You have to hit rock bottom to bounce back higher than ever. The breakdown shakes off the distractions, false hopes, and toxic attachments so you can focus on what truly matters. It's painful, yes, but it's necessary for your growth and your victory. You have got to trust the process, even when you don't understand it. You have got to believe that God's working behind the scenes, turning your mess into a message, your struggle into strength. The breakthrough isn't just about what you get. It's about who you become through the struggle. And that person is unstoppable. So when the breakdown comes, don't run from it or resist it. Lean into it, cry through it. Learn from it, because the breakthrough you have been waiting for isn't just on the horizon. It's being built right now through everything you are enduring. And when it comes, it'll be worth every moment of the pain you faced before. You keep your eyes locked on the blessing, dreaming about the moment it arrives. But God's focus isn't just on what he's about to give you. It's on who he's making you become while you wait. He knows that a blessing without preparation can become a burden instead of a blessing. That's why he's not just working on your breakthrough. He's working on you. It's easy to want the prize without going through the process. We want success without the struggle, favor without the faith, and victory without the trials. But God's refining fire is meant to purify your heart, sharpen your character, and strengthen your spirit so you can handle what you have been asking for. He's building endurance where you once had impatience. You might feel like the waiting is wasted time, but it's the workshop where God is crafting your resilience. He's teaching you how to be humble when pride tries to sneak in. He's showing you how to trust even when circumstances don't make sense. He's molding you to be a vessel that can carry more than you ever thought possible. This preparation period is often marked by challenges that test your faith. You are stretched, tested, and sometimes broken down, but each trial is a tool shaping you into the person equipped to receive the blessing. God's not rushing the process because he knows that when the blessing comes, you will need to be ready to steward it well. Sometimes you are eager to jump ahead, but God says, not yet. Not because he's withholding, but because he's protecting. Blessings come with responsibility. Without proper preparation, blessings can overwhelm, distract, or even destroy. God's work in you is deeper than the blessing itself. It's about creating lasting strength and wisdom. You will look back one day and realize the struggle was the greatest gift. You will see how the lessons you learned in the waiting shaped your destiny. The blessing isn't just about what you receive, but about who you become in the process. God's preparing your heart, your mind, and your soul so you don't just get blessed, you become a blessing. So don't despise the delay or the difficulty. God is not just preparing the blessing. He's preparing you for a future that requires more than you have now. And when the time comes, you will step into it with confidence, knowing you are ready because he made you ready. You say you trust God, but when the wait gets long, that trust gets tested hard. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about how you wait. It's easy to say, I trust God when things are moving fast. The real test is how you hold on when everything seems stuck. Patience is the action that proves your trust isn't just words, it's real. Waiting is uncomfortable, and that discomfort is where most people give up. They confuse patience with passivity, thinking they have to sit still and do nothing. But patience is active. It's standing firm in faith even when there's no visible progress. It's keeping your heart calm and your mind focused when the world screams, move faster. Patience says, I'm here, I'm trusting, I'm ready when God is. Every second you spend being patient is a declaration that you believe God's timing is perfect. It's saying, I don't understand the delay, but I trust the designer. It's choosing peace over panic, faith over fear. Patience is the bridge that connects your present struggle to your future victory. Without it, you risk breaking the connection and losing sight of what God is doing. You see, impatience is just disguised doubt. When you lose patience, you start to question if God is really working. You start wondering if he forgot you or if he cares at all. But patience says, I trust even when I can't trace. It's a radical faith that holds on tight, knowing that God's plan is bigger than any delay or setback. Patience also grows your character. It teaches you humility because it forces you to surrender control. It teaches you endurance because it stretches your strength. It teaches you hope because it reminds you that good things take time. The longer you wait patiently, the deeper your faith roots grow, making you stronger for what's ahead. When you are patient, you give God room to work. You stop rushing and start listening. You stop pushing and start preparing. You stop doubting and start believing. Patience opens the door for God's perfect timing to come through without you missing it in your hurry. So if you want to prove your trust, prove it through patience. Let your waiting